The blade kissed her throat before she even saw him move. Kim Ha-jin, Seoul's most feared mafia boss, had watched her dance like fire incarnate. Hips rolling, body defiant, completely unaware she'd just stolen something from his club, his territory, his very soul. "I will fit all my inches into your body," he whispered in her ear, his meaning darker than she knew. "Every scar, every secret, every piece of me you've awakened." Welcome to Afrokorea TV. Please like, share and subscribe. Maria froze, her breath catching as the cold metal pressed against her skin. The music still pounded through the underground club. Bodies still writhed in the neon darkness, but her world had shrunk to the man behind her and the danger radiating from him like heat. His voice was silk over steel, Korean accented English that made promises and threats in the same breath. She should have been terrified. Instead, something primal and foolish stirred low in her belly. "Who are you?" she managed, her voice steadier than she felt. He stepped back slightly, allowing her to turn. The first thing she noticed was his eyes, dark, bottomless, and currently fixed on her with an intensity that made her knees weak. He was beautiful in the way dangerous things often are. Sharp jaw, perfect lips, expensive black suit that hugged a body built for violence. Tattoos crept up his neck, barely visible in the club's strobing lights. "Someone you should fear," Ha-jin replied, sliding the blade back into his jacket. "Yet you're still standing here." The next moment, his hand was on her waist, pulling her against him as a drunk patron stumbled past, nearly crashing into her. The touch burned through the thin fabric of her dress. Maria gasped at the contact, at the hardness of his body, at the possession in his grip. He didn't let go immediately. Instead, his thumb traced a slow circle against her hip, his gaze never leaving her face. "You dance like you're running from something," he observed quietly. "Maybe I am," Maria shot back, finding her courage. "Maybe I'm running from men who think they can touch me without permission." Ha-jin's lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. "I don't need permission. I own this place. I own this entire district. But you." He leaned closer, his breath warm against her ear. "You I want to earn." Before she could respond, he released her and melted back into the crowd, leaving her breathless and confused and inexplicably desperate to follow. The following morning, Maria woke in her tiny apartment with a headache and a business card on her nightstand. She didn't remember anyone giving it to her. The card was matte black with silver lettering. Kim Ha-jin and a phone number. Nothing else. No title, no company, just a name that sounded like a warning. She should have thrown it away. Instead, she tucked it into her wallet and tried to forget the way his hand had felt on her waist, the danger in his voice, the impossible pull she'd felt standing in his presence. That evening, Maria returned to her job at a small Korean restaurant in Itaewon. She'd been in Seoul for 6 months, teaching English during the day and working nights to save money for her master's degree. Korea wasn't where she'd planned to end up, but life had a way of rewriting plans. She was pouring soju for a table of businessmen when she felt eyes on her. Ha-jin sat in the corner booth, alone, watching her with that same unnerving intensity. He wore a different suit, charcoal gray this time, and looked completely out of place in the modest restaurant. Their eyes met across the room, and Maria's hand trembled, nearly spilling the bottle. "Do you know him?" her coworker whispered in Korean, following her gaze. "No," Maria lied. "Be careful. That's Kim Ha-jin. Very dangerous man." The rest of her shift passed in a blur of hyper-awareness. Every time she glanced toward his booth, he was watching. He didn't order food, didn't speak to anyone, just sat there like a predator waiting for the right moment to strike. When her shift finally ended at 11, Maria grabbed her coat and headed for the back exit, her heart hammering. She made it 3 steps into the alley before a hand caught her wrist. "Running again?" Ha-jin's voice was amused, warm despite the cold night air. Maria spun to face him. "What do you want from me?" "Everything," he answered simply. "But we can start with your name." "Maria." "Maria," he repeated, tasting it. "You're African. Nigerian. Kenyan. What are you, my immigration officer?" Ha-jin laughed, a genuine sound that transformed his face from dangerous to devastating. "I like you. You have fire." "I'm not interested in whatever this is," Maria said, trying to pull away. His grip didn't tighten, but he didn't release her either. "You're lying. You kept my card. You're thinking about me right now, wondering what I want, why I can't stop looking at you. He stepped closer, backing her against the brick wall. You're wondering what would happen if you said yes to something you don't even understand yet. Maria's breath came faster. He was right and she hated it. You're arrogant. I'm honest. His free hand came up, fingers ghosting along her jaw with surprising gentleness. I saw you dance last night, and something broke open inside me. I don't know what you did, but I can't get you out of my head. I've killed men for less disruption, yet here I am waiting outside a restaurant like a fool. That's supposed to be romantic? Maria demanded, even as her body betrayed her, leaning into his touch. No. It's supposed to be the truth. The next day, flowers arrived at the restaurant. 3 dozen red roses with a card. For the woman who dances with fire. HJ. Maria's coworkers squealed with excitement, but her boss frowned, pulling her aside. Kim Ha-jin is not a good man to be involved with, he warned in careful English. He's powerful, yes. Rich, yes. But dangerous. His world is violence. I'm not involved with him, Maria protested. Then throw away the flowers. Don't encourage him. She didn't throw them away. That night, she found them delivered to her apartment along with a new phone, top of the line, already programmed with one number. When it rang at midnight, she knew who it would be before she answered. Did you like the flowers? Ha-jin's voice was silk in her ear. They're beautiful. You can't buy me with gifts. I'm not trying to buy you. I'm trying to court you. Court me. Maria laughed despite herself. Is that what gangsters do? I prefer the term entrepreneur. And yes, when we find something precious, we court it, claim it, protect it with everything we have. I'm not a possession. No, he agreed softly. You're a revelation. There's a difference. May I see you tomorrow? Maria knew she should say no. Every rational part of her brain screamed danger, red flags, run. But something in his voice, in the way he'd looked at her, in the gentleness of his touch against the violence she sensed coiled inside him, made her curious. One coffee, she heard herself say. Public place. Daytime. I'll pick you up at 2. The following afternoon, a black Mercedes pulled up outside her building. Ha-jin stepped out wearing jeans and a simple black sweater that somehow made him look even more dangerous than the suits. He opened the car door for her himself, no driver in sight. I thought we were getting coffee, Maria said as he drove them out of the city. We are. Just not in Seoul. An hour later they sat in a small cafe overlooking the ocean in Busan, far from prying eyes in Ha-jin's world of shadows. He'd been quiet during the drive, occasionally glancing at her with an expression she couldn't read. Now, with coffee between them and the sea breeze carrying the scent of salt and freedom, he seemed almost peaceful. Why me? Maria asked finally. You could have anyone. Ha-jin considered this, his long fingers wrapped around his cup. I've had many women. Beautiful, sophisticated, perfectly trained to please men like me. But you. He met her eyes. You looked at me like I was just a man. Not a monster, not a king, just a man. And when you danced, you were free in a way I've never been. I wanted that. I wanted you to teach me what freedom feels like. I'm not free, Maria admitted quietly. I'm broke, alone in a foreign country, working 2 jobs to chase a dream that keeps getting further away. Then let me help. Why? What do you get out of this? Ha-jin leaned forward, his intensity returning. The chance to be someone worth your time. The possibility that maybe in your eyes, I can be more than what I was born to be. Something shifted in Maria's chest, dangerous and tender. What were you born to be? A weapon. A leader. A man who takes what he wants and destroys what stands in his way. His jaw tightened. But when I look at you, I want to be someone who deserves softness, who earns trust, who protects instead of destroys. Later that evening, Ha-jin drove her back to Seoul. At her building, he walked her to the door, his hand resting lightly on the small of her back. The touch was becoming familiar, addictive. Maria turned to say goodnight and found him closer than she expected, his face inches from hers. Can I see you again? He asked, his voice rough. Yes, she whispered, because denying him felt impossible. His hand came up to cup her cheek, thumb brushing across her lower lip. I'm going to kiss you now. Stop me if you don't want this. Maria didn't stop him. His lips met hers softly at first, questioning, and when she sighed into his mouth, he deepened the kiss with a hunger that stole her breath. His other hand found her waist, pulling her against him as he kissed her like he was drowning and she was air. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, his forehead rested against hers. You're mine now, he murmured. Say you understand. I don't belong to anyone, Maria managed, even as her body sang with his touch. Not yet, Hajin agreed. But you will. The next few weeks passed in a blur of stolen moments and growing obsession. Hajin showed up everywhere. Outside her apartment, at the restaurant, waiting after her English classes. He never pushed, never demanded more than she offered. But his presence was constant, overwhelming, impossible to ignore. He brought her food when she worked late, sent cars when it rained, left books he thought she'd enjoy at her door. You're stalking me, Maria accused one night, finding him outside her building at 2 a.m. I'm courting you, he corrected, utterly shameless. There's a difference. Stalking would mean I'm hiding. I want you to see me, to know I'm always here. It's obsessive. Yes, he agreed easily. You've made me obsessive. Is that such a crime? Maria should have been frightened. Instead, she found herself looking forward to his appearances, missing him when too many hours passed without contact. She was falling for a man she barely knew. A man whose world she didn't understand, and the descent was terrifying and thrilling in equal measure. 1 month after their first meeting, Hajin took her to a gallery opening. Maria wore a dress he'd sent, emerald green silk that hugged her curves and made her feel beautiful and powerful. The event was full of Korea's elite, all of whom seemed to know and fear Hajin. They kept their distance, watching with barely concealed curiosity as he kept her close, his hand never leaving her waist. They're staring, Maria whispered. Let them, Hajin replied. I want everyone to know you're with me. A man approached, mid-40s, expensive suit, calculating eyes. He spoke to Hajin in rapid Korean, barely glancing at Maria. Whatever he said made Hajin's expression go cold, dangerous. His hand tightened almost imperceptibly on her waist. English, Hajin commanded quietly. Show respect. The man's eyes widened slightly before he switched languages. I was merely commenting on your lovely companion. Very exotic choice. The word exotic made Maria stiffen. But before she could respond, Hajin stepped forward, his body angling protectively in front of hers. Maria is not a choice. She's not a possession. She's a woman deserving of your respect, which you've just failed to show. His voice was soft, deadly. Apologize. Now. The man paled, bowed stiffly. My apologies, miss. I meant no offense. After he scurried away, Maria touched Hajin's arm. You didn't have to. Yes, I did. He turned to her, his expression fierce. No one disrespects you. Not in my presence, not ever. I don't care who they are. The intensity in his eyes, the protective fury, made her heart race. Thank you. Don't thank me for basic decency. His hand cupped her face, thumb stroking her cheek. You deserve the world, Maria. I'm just making sure you get it. Later that night, as they left the gallery, 3 men stepped from the shadows. Maria felt Hajin go rigid, his hand moving to his jacket where she knew he kept weapons. The leader of the group smiled coldly. Kim Hajin. Out with your new pet. Leave. Now. Hajin's voice promised violence. We have a message from Park. He's not happy about your recent territorial expansion. He thinks perhaps you're distracted. The man's eyes slid to Maria. Thinking with the wrong head. Everything happened fast. Hajin moved, pushing Maria behind him as he drew a gun with practiced ease. His men appeared from nowhere, surrounding them. The standoff lasted mere seconds before the rival gang members backed away, hands raised, but not before their leader smiled at Maria. Pretty thing. Be a shame if something happened to her. Hajin fired into the ground at the man's feet, the shot echoing through the empty street. Touch her, think about her, breathe in her direction, and I'll burn your entire organization to ash. That's not a threat. That's a promise. When they were gone, Hajin holstered his weapon and turned to Maria, who stood frozen against the wall. Are you hurt? She shook her head, unable to speak. I'm sorry you saw that. I'm sorry I brought you into my world. His hands framed her face, searching her expression. Say something. Please. That's your life. Maria whispered. Guns and threats and people who want to hurt you? Yes. No lies, no sugarcoating. Every day. Which is why I understand if you want to walk away. But Maria. His voice cracked slightly. Please don't. I'll protect you. I swear on everything I am, no one will ever touch you. Maria looked at this dangerous, powerful man who trembled at the thought of losing her, and made a choice that would change everything. Take me home. You're home. Hajin's penthouse was exactly what she expected, all glass and steel and expensive minimalism, with a view of Seoul that took her breath away. But she wasn't here for the view. The moment the door closed, she turned to him, her fear transforming into something else, something fierce and demanding. Show me, she commanded. Show me who you really are. Hajin stared at her for a long moment, then slowly removed his jacket, his shirt, revealing a body mapped with scars and tattoos that told stories of violence and survival. This is who I am. A killer. A monster. Someone who's done terrible things and will do them again to keep you safe. Maria stepped closer, her fingers tracing the largest scar across his ribs. And this is who I am. A woman who should run but won't. A woman who's falling for a monster and doesn't care. His control snapped. Hajin pulled her against him, kissing her with all the desperation and hunger he'd been holding back for weeks. They stumbled toward his bedroom, shedding clothes and inhibitions, and when he laid her on his bed, he looked at her like she was something holy. Last chance, he breathed against her lips. After this, you're mine. Completely. Then I'm already yours, Maria whispered. Take what's yours. What followed was heat and desperation and a connection that transcended words. Hajin worshipped her body with reverence and passion, learning every curve, every sound she made, every way to make her come apart in his arms. Maria discovered that beneath his dangerous exterior was a man capable of devastating tenderness, of whispered promises and gentle touches that contrasted beautifully with his fierce possession. When they finally came together, it felt like something breaking and healing simultaneously, two damaged souls finding unexpected wholeness. Afterward, Hajin held her close, his face buried in her neck. I love you, he confessed roughly. I know it's too soon, I know it's insane, but I love you, Maria. You've ruined me for anyone else. Maria's heart stuttered. Hajin, you don't have to say it back. Just, don't leave. Not tonight. But the next morning, fear eclipsed everything. Maria woke before dawn, looked at the man sleeping beside her, so powerful, so dangerous, so far above her, and panic seized her chest. What was she doing? He was a crime boss, a killer, a man who lived in a world of violence. Last night had been a mistake. A beautiful, terrible mistake that would only end in heartbreak or worse. She dressed quietly and left before he woke. Hajin woke to an empty bed and a terror he'd never experienced on any battlefield. He called her phone, no answer. Sent texts that went unread. Showed up at her apartment to find her roommate saying she'd left for work early. But when he checked the restaurant, the English Academy, every place she might be, Maria had vanished like smoke. For 3 days she avoided him. Changed her schedule, took different routes, ignored his calls. Hajin felt something dangerous growing inside him. Not anger but desperation. His men watched him with concern as he became more volatile, more reckless. He couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, couldn't think about anything except finding her and understanding why she'd run. On the 4th day, he found her at a small cafe near Hongdae, sitting alone with a book she wasn't reading. Hajin slid into the seat across from her before she could flee. 3 days, he said quietly, his voice raw. You left me for 3 days without a word. Maria's eyes were red-rimmed. I'm sorry. Sorry. He laughed bitterly. I thought you were dead. I thought someone had taken you. I was ready to burn down half of Seoul to find you, and you're sorry. This won't work, Maria whispered. Us. We're from different worlds. Last night was a mistake. Hajin's hand shot across the table, gripping hers. Look at me. Look at me and tell me what we shared was a mistake. She couldn't. Tears spilled down her cheeks instead. You'll get tired of me. Or someone will hurt me to get to you. Or I'll wake up one day and realize I'm just another possession in your collection. Is that what you think? Hajin's voice cracked. Maria, you're not a possession. You're the only real thing in my life. Everything else, the money, the power, the fear, it's all empty. But you? You make me want to be better. You make me feel human. I'm scared, she admitted. Good. I'm terrified. He stood, pulling her up with him. But I'm not letting you go. We'll figure this out together or we'll crash and burn together, but I won't let you run. Not anymore. He kissed her in the middle of the cafe, deep and claiming, and Maria felt her resistance crumble. When they broke apart, she was breathless and crying and nodding against his chest. Okay, she whispered. Okay. The following weeks were both blissful and complicated. Hajin made good on his promise to earn her trust, to show her every dark corner of his world, while also protecting her from its worst dangers. He introduced her to his inner circle, hardened men who looked at her with surprise and growing respect when they saw how their boss softened around her. His second-in-command, Minjun, pulled her aside one evening. He's different with you. Happier. Thank you for that. I'm not sure I'm good for him, Maria confessed. You're the best thing that's ever happened to him, Minjun said seriously. We've known Hajin since childhood. We've never seen him care about anything the way he cares about you. Just don't break his heart. I don't think he'd survive it. But danger was never far in Hajin's world. 2 months into their relationship, Maria was leaving her English academy when a black van pulled up. Before she could scream, hands grabbed her. A cloth covered her mouth and the world went dark. She woke in a warehouse tied to a chair, her head pounding. The man from the gallery, Park's associate, stood before her, smiling that same cold smile. Awake? Good. We're about to send your boyfriend a message. He held up a phone showing her a live feed. Hajin stood in what looked like his office, surrounded by his men, his face a mask of cold fury as he watched the video call. Park wants his territory back, the man said conversationally. And he wants you to watch Hajin choose, you or his empire. Let her go. Hajin's voice came through the speaker, deadly calm. This is between us. No, this is about teaching you a lesson. You've gotten soft, Kim. Love makes you weak. Maria watched Hajin's expression, saw the calculation behind his eyes, the way his hands clenched. When he spoke, his voice was ice. You have 30 minutes to release her unharmed and run as far as you can. After that, I'm coming and I won't show mercy. Park's men laughed. Big words. But you're surrounded. My men have your building covered. You make one move and she dies. Hajin smiled then, and it was the most terrifying thing Maria had ever seen. You've made 3 mistakes. First, you touched what's mine. Second, you underestimated how far I'll go to get her back. Third. His eyes met Maria's through the camera, full of promise. You assumed I came alone. The warehouse doors exploded inward. Hajin's men flooded in with military precision, weapons drawn. The fight was brutal and swift. Maria squeezed her eyes shut as gunfire echoed around her, but she felt the moment Hajin reached her. His hands gentle as they cut her bonds, his body shielding hers. I've got you, he murmured against her hair. You're safe. I've got you. When the shooting stopped, Park's men were subdued or fled. Hajin carried Maria out personally, refusing to let anyone else touch her. In the car, she finally broke down, shaking uncontrollably as the adrenaline faded. I was so scared, she sobbed. I know. I'm sorry. God, Maria, I'm so sorry. He held her tighter. This is my fault. I should have protected you better. You came for me. I would burn the whole world down for you. Don't you understand that yet? He tilted her face up, his own eyes wet. You're everything. My heart, my soul, my reason for breathing. I can't lose you. That night, Hajin took her to a safe house, a beautiful traditional hammock hidden in the mountains. We'll stay here until this is resolved. I'm ending the war with Park permanently, but I need to know you're safe first. Over the next few days, as Hajin's men dismantled Park's organization, Maria saw a different side of her lover. He was ruthless in protecting his territory, but he also showed mercy where he could, offering Park's lower-level members a chance to leave the life. When Park himself was finally captured, Hajin gave him a choice. Leave Korea forever or face consequences. You've changed, Park spat. That woman has made you soft. Hajin's smile was sharp. No. She's made me stronger. I have something worth protecting now, worth building a future for. That makes me more dangerous than I've ever been. A week later they returned to Seoul. Hajin had made changes, stepped back from the most violent aspects of his business, delegated more to trusted men, focused on legitimate enterprises. He was still powerful, still feared, but he was also building something cleaner for Maria's sake. One evening, 3 months after the kidnapping, he took her to the roof of his building. Seoul sparkled below them, a city of lights and possibilities. I know what you're going to say, Maria started, but Hajin pressed a finger to her lips. You don't. Because I've never done this before. He knelt, pulling out a small box. Maria, you walked into my life and changed everything. You made me want to be a man worthy of love, worthy of a future beyond violence and power. I know I'm not easy. I know my world is dangerous. But I swear to you, I will spend every day of my life protecting you, loving you, proving that you didn't make a mistake when you chose me. He opened the box, revealing a simple but stunning diamond ring. Marry me. Not because I'm claiming you, but because I'm giving myself to you completely. Say yes. Maria's hands covered her mouth, tears streaming. This is insane. We've only known each other 6 months. I knew after 6 minutes, Hajin countered. The rest was just falling deeper. Say yes, Maria. Please. Yes, she whispered, then louder. Yes. He slid the ring on her finger and kissed her breathless, lifting her off her feet and spinning her around. When he set her down, his forehead pressed to hers. You've made me the happiest man alive. You've made me believe in impossible things, Maria replied softly. The wedding happened 2 months later. A blend of Korean and Kenyan traditions that celebrated both their cultures. Hajin's men attended alongside Maria's friends and family, who'd flown in from Kenya. Her mother pulled Hajin aside before the ceremony. You love my daughter? More than my own life, he answered without hesitation. Good. Because if you hurt her, I don't care how powerful you are. A mother's curse is stronger than any weapon. Hajin smiled. I would expect nothing less. Your daughter deserves that protection. The ceremony was beautiful. Maria in a traditional white gown that Hajin couldn't stop staring at, his eyes constantly wet as she walked down the aisle. When they exchanged vows, his voice shook with emotion. I was a man living in darkness until you danced into my life. You brought light, joy, purpose. I promise to love you fiercely, protect you always, and spend every day earning the gift of your heart. Maria's own vows made him cry openly. You were supposed to be dangerous, someone to fear and avoid. Instead, you became my safe place, my home. You showed me that love can exist even in darkness, that strength and tenderness aren't opposites. I promise to stand beside you, to be your peace, and to love you through everything life brings. Their first dance was to a slow ballad, and Hajin held her like she was made of starlight. Mrs. Kim, he murmured against her ear. I like the sound of that. So do I, Maria whispered back. The reception was joyful and chaotic, full of laughter and dancing. Hajin's men got pleasantly drunk and told embarrassing stories about their boss, while Maria's family taught everyone Kenyan dance moves. But the best moment came late in the evening when Hajin pulled Maria aside to a quiet balcony. Happy? He asked. Deliriously, she confirmed, then bit her lip. I have something to tell you. His expression shifted to concern. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. It's just. She took his hand and placed it on her stomach. I'm pregnant. About 8 weeks. I found out last week but wanted to wait until after the wedding to tell you. Hajin froze, his eyes going wide. You're weird. He couldn't finish the sentence, emotion choking him. Instead, he dropped to his knees, pressing his face against her stomach as tears soaked through her dress. A baby. Our baby. Maria ran her fingers through his hair, crying herself. Are you happy? He looked up at her, his face transformed by joy. Happy doesn't begin to cover it. Terrified, overwhelmed, grateful. God, Maria, you've given me everything. A reason to live, a future worth building, and now a family. He stood, cradling her face. I love you so much. I didn't think it was possible to love you more, but somehow I do. I love you too, Maria whispered. My dangerous, beautiful man. 6 months later, Maria gave birth to a daughter. Hajin was present for every moment of labor, holding her hand, whispering encouragement, completely useless with fear and awe. When the doctor finally placed their baby in his arms, he stared at the tiny face in wonder. She's perfect, he breathed. She has your eyes. And your stubborn chin, Maria added with a tired laugh. They named her Ji-hai, meaning wisdom and grace. Hajin couldn't stop touching her, couldn't stop staring at the miracle they'd created. That first night in the hospital, while Maria slept, he held his daughter and made promises. I'll protect you with my life, he whispered. You and your mother are my whole world. I'll build you a safe future, one where you never have to be afraid, never have to see the darkness I came from. You'll know only love. Ji-hai yawned, her tiny hand wrapping around his finger, and Hajin felt his heart crack open in the best way. The next few months were chaotic and beautiful. Hajin proved to be a devoted father, changing diapers at 3 a.m., singing Korean lullabies, refusing to let anyone else hold Ji-hai for more than a few minutes. His men found it hilarious, seeing their fearsome boss reduced to mush by a baby's smile. You've gone completely soft, Minjun teased one day, watching Hajin cradle Ji-hai during a business meeting. Completely, Hajin agreed, utterly shameless. And I wouldn't change a thing. Maria watched him with their daughter and fell in love all over again. This dangerous man, this killer and crime boss, was the gentlest father she could imagine. He sang to Ji-hai in Korean, taught her to laugh with silly faces, and cried the first time she smiled at him. 1 year after their wedding, they celebrated Ji-hai's first birthday with both families present. The party was chaos, children running everywhere, multiple languages being spoken, food from 3 different cultures covering every surface. Hajin stood with his daughter on his hip, Maria tucked against his side, and looked around at the life they'd built. What are you thinking? Maria asked, noticing his expression. That I would have destroyed this a year ago, he admitted quietly. This noise, this chaos, this vulnerability, I would have seen it as weakness. But now. He kissed the top of Ji-hai's head. It's everything. You taught me that, Maria. You taught me that strength isn't about control or fear. It's about having something worth protecting, worth fighting for. We're worth it, she teased gently. You're worth every risk, every change, every moment of fear. He turned to her, his expression serious. I was half a man before you. You made me whole. Maria reached up to kiss him, soft and sweet. You saved yourself, Hajin. I just loved you while you did it. Then keep loving me, he murmured. For the rest of our lives. Deal, she whispered against his lips. Later that night, after the guests had left and Ji-hai was asleep, Hajin and Maria stood on their balcony overlooking Seoul. The city glittered below them. The same city where a frightened girl had danced in a club, where a dangerous man had first felt his heart wake up, where 2 impossible people had found each other against all odds. Do you remember what you said to me that first night? Maria asked, leaning back against his chest. That I would fit all my inches into your body, Hajin recalled, his arms tightening around her. I meant every scar, every secret, every broken piece. I didn't know how to say I wanted to give you everything I was. You did, Maria said softly. You gave me everything. Your darkness and your light, your fear and your courage, your past and your future. You held nothing back. Neither did you. He turned her to face him, his hands framing her face in that gesture that had become so familiar. You gave me trust when I deserved suspicion, love when I deserved fear, a family when I deserved loneliness. You're my miracle, Maria. And you're mine, she replied. My impossible, beautiful miracle. He kissed her then, deep and slow, a kiss full of promises kept and futures unfolding. When they broke apart, Maria saw tears on his cheeks. Happy tears, she asked, wiping them away. The happiest, Hajin confirmed. I never thought I could have this. A wife who loves me despite everything. A daughter who looks at me like I'm a hero instead of a monster. A life worth living instead of just surviving. You were never a monster, Maria said firmly. You were just a man waiting for a reason to believe in goodness. You're my reason, he whispered. You and Ji-hai. My girls. My everything. Inside, Ji-hai stirred in her crib, making soft baby sounds. Hajin immediately started toward the nursery, but Maria caught his hand. I'll get her. You've been up the last 3 nights. I don't mind. I know you don't. But let me. She kissed his cheek. Your turn is next. Hajin watched his wife disappear into the nursery, heard her soft voice singing to their daughter, and felt overwhelming gratitude wash over him. A year ago he'd been a man defined by violence and power, his future stretching out cold and empty. Now he was a husband, a father, a man who knew what it meant to love and be loved unconditionally. Maria returned with Ji-hai, who reached immediately for her father with a delighted squeal. Hajin took her, pressing kisses to her chubby cheeks while she giggled. Appa, she babbled, one of her first words. That's right, baby girl. Appa's here. Always. Maria watched them together, her heart so full it ached. This was the man who'd threatened her in a dark club, who'd pursued her with single-minded intensity, who'd promised to fit every piece of himself into her life. And he had. Every scar, every secret, every vulnerable piece. He'd given her everything and she'd given it all back. What are you smiling about? Hajin asked, catching her expression. Us. How we started. How impossible this seemed. Nothing's impossible when you find the right person, he said seriously. You're my right person, Maria. The only person. For this life and whatever comes after. Forever, she asked. Forever, he promised. Ji-hai yawned, snuggling against her father's chest. Hajin carried her back to the nursery, Maria following close behind. They stood together over the crib, watching their daughter drift back to sleep, and Hajin reached for Maria's hand. Thank you, he whispered. For what? For dancing that night. For not running when you should have. For seeing past the monster to the man underneath. For loving me when I didn't deserve it. For giving me this. He gestured to Ji-hai, to the nursery, to the life they'd built. All of this. Maria leaned her head on his shoulder. You gave me just as much. You showed me I was strong enough to love someone dangerous, brave enough to choose joy despite fear. You gave me a family, a home, a love I thought only existed in stories. We wrote our own story, Hajin said softly, and I love every chapter. They stood there for a long time, two people from different worlds who'd collided in the most unexpected way, and somehow built something beautiful from the chaos. Outside, Seoul hummed with life. The city that had witnessed their beginning and would witness their forever. In that nursery with their daughter sleeping peacefully and their hands intertwined, Kim, Hajin and Maria had everything they needed. Love had conquered danger, trust had defeated fear, and two impossible people had found their impossible happy ending. The Korean mafia boss who'd once threatened a dancing girl in a dark club now sang lullabies to his daughter. The frightened woman who'd run from love now stood fearlessly beside the most dangerous man she knew. And together they built a future neither could have imagined, full of laughter, tears, challenges, and unshakable devotion. Their story had started with danger and desire, with a promise that seemed threatening but held the seeds of something profound. I will fit all my inches into your body, he'd said, meaning he'd give her everything he was. And he had. Every scar, every secret, every piece of his complicated heart. And Maria had done the same, fitting all of herself into his life, his future, his soul. It was more than love. It was completion. It was destiny. It was everything. Thank you for watching and listening to this Afrokorea TV story. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more emotional romance stories that will keep you on the edge of your seat.